Hi friends! Welcome sa Part 7 ng ating Principals Test Review 2022 o tinatawag ding National Qualifying Examination for School Heads. Sa review na to, pag-aaralan natin ang Educational Facilities Management. Ito ay mga pagmamanage sa mga building, sa mga facilities at sa mga equipment sa loob ng paaralan. Kaya start na tayo! Welcome sa ating Principals Test Review 2022 or the National Qualifying Examination for School Heads. Ang ating topic ay Educational Facilities Management. And before that, let us check your prior knowledge on this topic. So, pre-test muna tayo. The first question is, this refers to the end of life cycle of a government property. So, what is that? Is it disposal, condemnation, or elimination? So, choose your answer now. So, the answer is disposal. Next question. It is the transfer of property from one person to another. Is it transfer, conveyance, or bequest? So the answer is conveyance. Question number 3. A state of extreme distress or misfortune produced by some adverse circumstances or event, or any great misfortune or cause or loss or misery by natural forces. Is it accident? Is it force majeure? Or calamity? The answer is calamity. Number 4. It is one of a group of buildings having a secondary or dependent use, such as an annex. Is it extension, auxiliary, ancillary? So what's the answer? The answer is ancillary. The next question is, it is the use of a building or buildings for the gathering of groups of persons for purposes of instruction. Is it educational occupancy, or educational housing, or educational facilitation? So, what's your answer? The answer is educational occupancy. The next question refers to fixed or movable non-consumable property with a normal lifespan of 2 to 5 years, and in terms of procurement regulations exceeds a specified cost level. Facility, equipment, or building? The answer is equipment. Next question. That portion of the foundation of a structure which spreads and transmits loads directly to the soil or the pile. Base, footing, foundation. What's your answer? The answer is footing. Number 8. A unit of illumination equivalent to 1 lumen per square meter. It is also termed as meter candle, flux, candela, foot candle. The answer is flux. 9th question. The knowledge, skills, resources, abilities, strengths present in individuals, households, and the community which enable them to prevent, prepare for, withstand, survive, and recover from a disaster. Resistance, capacity, strength. What's your answer? The answer is capacity. And The last question refers to the policies criteria to apply when considering the construction of new buildings, specifically in remodeling, replacement, and maintaining existing ones. Is it design formats, design standards, or design guidelines? The answer is design guidelines. So thank you for answering the pretest. All of these terms can be found on the DepEd Facilities Manual of 2010, and this is under the definition of terms. So let us proceed with our main discussion, and let us start with the educational facilities management, specifically on the acquisition of new school buildings. You know, new school buildings are acquired through allocation from the national government. It's either by donations or from voluntary contributions. Under the national government school building program, funds are provided in the national budget every year for the construction of new school buildings. The school buildings are allocated according to a prioritized list prepared based on the following criteria. So if you have a request for a school building, this criteria might be considered. First, to replace school buildings destroyed by natural calamities and fortuitous events. So let us consider Quezon Province, which was devastated by previous typhoons. Then your school can be considered for new building construction. And next, to replace old and dilapidated school buildings which have been condemned. Next, to provide new school buildings to school with high shortages, which are red and black schools. These are the classification of schools based on shortages of classrooms to accommodate the increase in school population or to decongest existing ones. That is the next criteria or criterion. Next is to replace makeshift and temporary school buildings and to provide school buildings to accommodate classes currently housed in rented buildings, school stage, gymnasiums, etc. So if these are your reasons, you can request for new buildings provided by the national government or by donations or from voluntary contributions. So let us discuss the allocation procedure of new school buildings. The first one is Congress. Congress, in conjunction with the Department of Budget and Management, set the budgetary ceiling for school building projects. Then, the Department of Budget and Management advises DepEd and DPWH, or the Department of Public Works and Highways, central offices of the approval of the annual school building program. So it is always observed that the DPWH is involved in the construction or allocation of new school buildings. And then, the DepEd Central Office issues a department order to all regional directors and schools division superintendents containing the guidelines in preparing the priority lists of recipient schools based on the prepared allocation per legislative district. So it will be a top-down approach from the central office down to the regional director and then to the school's division superintendents. Then, the DepEd regional offices advise division offices to prepare priority list using the department order. And then, DepEd Division Office Ad Hoc Physical Facilities Unit, which is headed by the Physical Facilities Coordinators, prepares priority list in coordination with the planning unit. That is why it is very essential that the planning unit works hand in hand with the physical facilities coordinator to address shortages in classrooms. And then the physical facilities coordinator seeks concurrence of congressional representative concerned of the prepared list. So that's you allocate new school buildings. And then there is the next step also, wherein the DepEd Division Office submits list to the DepEd Central Office, Physical Facilities and School Engineering Division, or the PFSED, copy furnished the regional office. Then DepEd PFSED consolidates the division lists and forwards the list to DBM. Of course, that is for budget purposes through the DPWH Central Office in the case of the regular school building program. And then the Department of Budget and Management evaluates lists and issues special allotment release order or SARO and the corresponding notice of cash allowance of the approved project. So it is still the Department of Budget and Management who will issue the special allotment release order. And then DPWH and DepEd implement project listings in the annual school building program. So that is the procedures. Those are the steps, the allocation and procedure of new school buildings. So come to think, that is a very long process. Let us proceed to the improvement and maintenance of school buildings. School building improvement and maintenance are essential aspects of school plant management and require constant attention and careful planning by administrators. That is why as school heads, we should be vigilant on the condition of the buildings, of the facilities, of the school plan that we are handling. The school head shall undertake the maintenance and minor repair of the school buildings using available funds sub-allotted by the Department of Public Works and Highways based on programs of work prepared and approved by the district or the city engineer and concurred by the school head. So how will it happen for the repair? The repair involves remedial work done on any damage and deteriorated portion or portions of a building to restore its original condition. Repair jobs are generally common problems. So let us think of common problems that we usually do repair. So usually these are dilapidated ceilings, broken windows, broken doors. So these are some examples. And then prompt attention on repair jobs will cut down maintenance cost. And that is the reason why repair are done in schools, so that minor problems or minor things to be repaired should be given attention as immediately as possible to avoid bigger problems. Next is improvement and maintenance of school buildings. Of course, they are classified either as minor or major as determined by the appraisal team, the district, or the city engineer. Of course, minor repair is the replacement of the school building components which are not subjected to critical structural loads and stresses and which are estimated to cost less than 10% of the cost of the standard unit, such as repair of windows, doors, partitions, and the like. And these are familiar things to school heads. Minor repair keeps a building in fit condition for use
without increasing its capacity or otherwise adding to its normal value as an asset. You know, when we are talking about repair and we are talking in the construction world about structural load and stresses, this is different from minor repair. So what is a major repair? It's the replacement of school building components which are subjected to critical structural loads and stresses and are estimated to cost 10% or more of the cost of a standard building unit, such as repair of roof, frames, posts, exterior walls, and others. Major repair materially increases the value or extend the useful life of the building. So it is a major repair if there will be repair of roof, specifically if it was damaged by typhoons, frames, posts, and exterior walls. For minor repair work, the school head shall maximize the use of industrial arts classes and or local community labor. Well, this calls for partnership. Brigada Eskwela implementation or adopt a school program. The government-funded major and minor repair jobs shall be technically supervised by the district city engineer. Upon the completion of the repair work, the school head shall submit to the district city engineer a project accomplishment and expenditure report with pictures. The next one is rehabilitation. When we say rehabilitation, it is intended to put back its original or previous condition and involves a general overhauling or a comprehensive repair of the whole building or a major section of it. A school building which has been blown down by a typhoon or destroyed by an earthquake or a flood may be rehabilitated if the estimated cost of rehabilitation is considered economically practical by the appraisal team. So when we say rehabilitation, there is a major section which was damaged. Let's say a flooring of a laboratory which needs further repair. Then it can be rehabilitated. The next one is renovation or restoration. To renovate a school building is to make it appear new again. It involves physical change made on a building to ensure its value, utility, and to improve its aesthetic quality. Renovation is applied to old buildings which have weathered the years and remain sturdy but need some facelifting to restore their original conditions. Old Spanish school buildings, which can be preserved for historical heritage, shall be repaired or maintained. They are symbolic of the past and shall be kept for prosperity. Old posts, floors, etc. may be replaced, keeping them close to their original architectural design. The Gabaldon buildings may be remodeled with the health and safety of pupils, students, and teachers in mind. So maybe we are familiar with the Gabaldon buildings. I studied my elementary days at Lucena West 1 Elementary School. The main building there before was the Gabaldon building, and I think it was repaired and it was renovated or restored, and that is under Republic Act 11194. Remember that? 11194. That is an act mandating the conservation of Gabaldon school buildings nationwide, providing penalties for violations and appropriating funds therefore. The next one is alteration or remodeling. When we say alteration or remodeling, the alteration is involves major changes in its architectural design and structure. A building may be remodeled by changing its roof structure or modifying its exterior walls or reorienting its interior partitions or such other alterations. So when we say that a building will be alterated or remodeled if, for example, the roofing or the inside structure or exterior walls were modified. Next, modernization. Modernization of a school building is intended to update or adapt its existing spaces and facilities such as audiovisual aids, which includes slides, strips, motion films, radio recordings, and television. A second generation of mechanical devices used for teaching called educational technology is spreading too fast in relation to the life of school buildings being constructed now. The department has to lend itself to the eventual installation of adaptive teaching machines, which are computer-based, closed-circuit television, language laboratories, etc. An excess of space and internal provision for flexibility will make changes of the school buildings in use, resulting from the introduction of educational technology, somewhat easier. To meet the new trends and developments, it may involve some remodeling, such as modifying or converting a bagong lipunan school building unit into a learning resource center. So when we say modernization, the old Marcos type building can be changed into a learning resource center together with different installation of teaching machines such as computer, TV, and other language laboratories. That is modernization. And of course, we will be talking of the condemnation and demolition of school buildings. In order to clarify procedures on the condemnation and demolition of school buildings, which are perceived to be hazardous. So when you say hazardous, it can pose danger to the lives of the students, teachers, and personnel within the school. Remember, DepEd Order number 48 series of 2000 was issued to contain the supplemental guidelines. Therefore, as a matter of policy, demolition shall be resorted to only when A. The physical structure is beyond reasonable repair. That means we can't do anything. It's beyond repair. Letter B, it poses danger to the safety of school children, and the school administration can assure continuity of school operations even when the structure is demolished. So these things we should remember that number one, it is beyond repair, it poses danger to the safety of children, aside from children, teaching personnel, non-teaching personnel, and of course to all the members of the community. And of course, the administration can assure that classes can go on even that building will be demolished. And this is under DepEd Order number 48, series of 2000. So the design and standard measurements of storage and display furniture may be determined according to the following guidelines. So we will go now to storage and display furniture after talking about the school building. So the zone of convenience shall be considered. According to energy conservation studies, this I have already talked on my previous blogs when you say it should be ergonomic This refers to the area between the lower and upper limits for shelves within which it is convenient to place things on them, and beyond which there will be a need to exert greater effort. So therefore, when we say a shelf should be placed in the school building or a classroom, it should be within the zone of convenience. Total furniture height may be calculated according to the highest point which a child can reach with stretched arm in relation to what he can see from his standing position. Again, we are talking here about ergonomics. The highest shelf shall be not more than 1.2 times higher than the mean height of users. So there is a standard which is 1.2 times higher than the mean of the height of users. And then, ordinarily, shelving may be spaced at intervals of 30 centimeters. So remember these numbers. These are values that we should remember. For the school equipment, which talks about educational facilities, these facilities which have a normal lifespan of 2 to 5 years are classified as equipment. So if we are talking about facilities which has a normal lifespan of 2 to 5 years, they are classified as equipment. The different kinds of school equipment commonly used as prescribed by the Commission on Audit needed in elementary and secondary schools may be categorized as follows. So there are many categories. EPP, TLE equipment, or edukasyon, pangkabuhayan at pantahanan, or technology, livelihood, education equipment are the following: shop industrial arts tools, home economics utensils, and garden tools. So we need not to give examples because I know all of us are familiar with this equipment. Instructional tools and devices, science apparatuses, playground equipment, office equipment, mathematics gadgets included in our emergency survival kit. This also includes the first aid kit, which are triangular bandages, scissors, blade, needle and thread, antiseptic, alcohol, cotton, safety pins, tweezers, medicine droppers, soap, gloves, medicines for fever, headache, body pains, for diarrhea, stomach ache, for cough, and eye wash. This also includes other items such as garbage cans, plastic sheeting, plastic food containers, transistor radio, batteries, flashlights, can opener, knife, matches which are wrapped in waterproof material, lighter, toilet paper, small towels, sanitary napkins for ladies, shovel, plastic pail, disinfectant, and of course, whistle. So this is a checklist type of information that we should check whether we have this in our school because this is for survival purposes. Let us proceed to fittings, fixtures, and furnishings. What are these? Fittings are small accessory parts often standardized use in a school building, such as electrical switches and convenience outlets, doorknobs, and the like. So, pag pala doorknob or switches and convenience outlets, they are considered to be called fittings. Next, fixtures. Fixtures are facilities that are fixed or attached to a building as permanent appendages or as a structural part of it, such as plumbing facilities, toilet bowls, and lighting fixtures. And these are classified as fixtures. So 3F yan, fittings, fixtures, and furnishings. Furnishings are articles of furniture or decorations for the interior of a building. And let us think of furnishings within the school buildings. Usually, yung mga molds, yung mga moldura sa mga kesame, these are considered to be furnishings. The location of the doorknobs, switches, sockets, convenience outlets, locks, and other fixtures and fittings shall be within the reach of the school children. The height of the sinks, lavatories, toilet bowls, urinals, and faucets shall be adjusted for children's use. Generally, the proper height of most fittings and fixtures shall be about half of the mean of the standing height of the children. Let us proceed now to instructional devices. Instructional devices comprise the wide range and variety of educational media and technology such as visual aids, audiovisual aids, teaching aids, and devices and the like, which are indispensable tools for effective teaching and learning. Usually we hear these words, I need to prepare my devices. These instructional devices provide the child with various experiences which make learning more stimulating, meaningful, and permanent. Modern teaching requires the use of varied instructional materials which are important for clear and vivid presentation of the subject matter. Schools shall undertake a systematic collection of these instructional aids in abundance. The value of audiovisual aids in the improvement of instruction is now widely recognized. Many of these materials can be made in the school or acquired at little or no cost at all, while others can be purchased from allotments for supplies and equipment. The collection of such aids shall be properly classified, indexed, and stored to facilitate their use. Researches also show that the modern educational media, especially movies, television, shows, video programs, etc., are instrumental in shaping desirable attitudes, beliefs, and values of learners. So, these media are considered to be effective means for learning. And as we are in the fourth industrial revolution, these movies can now be downloaded and this can be saved within the teachers and students' gadgets. And sometimes they can be saved on Google Drives and other electronic equipment such as flash drives and external drives. Let us proceed to the library. Of course, the school library. For every elementary, secondary school with enrollment of 500 pupils or students and above shall have a school library, primarily for the use of pupils, students, and teachers, and possibly by the community. It shall be situated in a quiet and pleasant surrounding, and shall be more accessible to intermediate and secondary classes, which are expected to make greater use of it. It must be manned by a teacher trained in modern school library methods. A well-equipped and well-furnished library is an essential component of school learning facilities. The space requirement for a school library shall be determined on the basis of a minimum standard of 2.4 square meters per place. The total number of books required is recommended at a minimum of 5 books per pupil or student. That is talking about the school library. And the library shelves shall be scaled in height and depth to the children's part body measurements. The total height of shelves shall not exceed 5½ feet in elementary school libraries. In the primary grades classroom library, the shelves shall not be more than 3 to 4 feet high. Of course, it should be lower because we are talking about primary students. The usual dimensions of a shelf are 7 by 8 inch thick, 8 inches deep, and 3 feet long. However, some shelves 10 to 12 inches wide are needed for large illustrated books. Shelves shall be built-in or freestanding. If freestanding, shelves should be strapped to the wall, as this may topple down during an earthquake. That is according to Mylene Villegas of PBOX. And the following allocation of shelf sizes is suggested. There should be 80% 8-inch shelves, 10% 10-inch shelves, and 10% of 12-inch shelves. So, mas marami yung 80% na 8-inch shelves, which can accommodate the average size of books. And of course, the 10% for 12-inch and 10-inch shelves. So that's for the library. Let us proceed now to sanitary facilities. And this is very important since we are, of course, following the water and sanitation program in school, or the WINS. What is the importance of the sanitary facilities? Of course, as the teaching of sanitation and good health habits is integral part of the school program, it is important that public schools shall be provided with sanitary facilities that satisfy sanitary requirements as well as meet educational needs. Of course, when we are talking about sanitary requirement, we will be also teaching students about their needs to clean their hand, and of course, maintain their body clean and tidy. Toilet facilities. Every school is required to have toilet facilities within the school premises, preferably with a toilet for boys and that for girls located far apart. The following standards as to number of toilet seats, urinals, and lavatories are suggested. For boys' urinal, 1 detached urinal per 50 pupils or students, or 1 urinal true per 100 pupils or students. Toilet seat or water closet, 1 seat per 100 pupils or students, and 1 seat designed for disabled pupils or students, and that is under Batas Pambansa 344. Girls' toilet seat with water closet, 1 seat per 50 pupils or students, and 1 seat designed for disabled pupils or students, and that is under Batas Pambansa 344. And again, 1 lavatory to 1 toilet seat. Let us talk about toilet fixtures and materials. This shall be carefully selected and properly installed to ensure minimum maintenance and maximum utilization and durability. Toilet facilities for the home economics building, shop, garden house, office, etc. are to be provided on a smaller scale than those prescribed above, usually a single bath and toilet room in each case. Where practicable and feasible, it would be desirable to have a toilet room for each classroom if water supply is sufficient. The reason for this, of course, is for the safety of our students so that they will not go outside and just take a break within their classroom. Next is hand washing facilities. Group hand washing facility shall, if possible, be provided proximate to the playground, gardens, school canteens, and toilets. Minimum standard capacity of 2 faucets for every 100 pupils or students is recommended. Proper drainage shall be provided. So it is very easy to memorize because usually the ratio is simply 1:100. And you may refer to DepEd Order numbers 56 and 66, series of 2009 on the construction of hand washing facilities in all schools. It's very easy to remember, 56 and 66 series of 2009. Drinking facilities. A potable water supply shall be available in the school premises. Drinking facilities shall be provided on the basis of 1 faucet or fountain for every 75 pupils or students. This time it is 75. The ratio for potable water supply to students is 1:75. Height of faucet or nozzle shall be adjusted to the mean heights of the pupils or students. So practically, if it is for an elementary school, it should be based on the height of the pupils. And for high school or senior high school, it should also be based on the mean height of the students. So let's proceed now to the playground facilities. We all know that playground facilities shall be considered together with classrooms as a learning environment for educational growth. They shall be developed and planned extensively, not only for the sole purpose of an improved physical education program, but also for the use of pupils, students, and teachers, and all other educational activities. These are some basic sports or playground facilities. A volleyball court, softball diamond, baseball diamond, jumping pit, a standard track oval with a distance of 500 meters or less, a basketball court, gymnastics floor area, football field, swimming pool, taekwondo, that means a taekwondo court or a taekwondo rubber matted area, archery, boxing, that means a boxing ring, dart, arnis, sipa, sepak takraw, badminton, and table tennis. All of these sports facilities are ideal if we will be building a very good playground facility within the school. Take note, there is dart. Okay, so it is also included boxing and archery. Almost all sports which are played in the division, the regional, and national palaro. How I wish all those schools will have these sports facilities. Administrative facilities. The fundamental function of the administrative office is to serve. It shall be planned to feature openness and ease of access for teachers, school children, and the public. The administrative office shall be pleasant and attractive in design, reflecting the spirit of a friendly and helpful atmosphere. So, let us think of our offices. Does it have an aura of being helpful and friendly? And is it attractive and pleasant to our stakeholders? The operation of the administrative office shall provide the school children, the teachers, and parents opportunities for active participation in the democratic process. The size and dimension of administrative space requirements may be determined on the basis of a minimum standard of 5 square meters per person and an airspace requirement of 12 cubic meters per occupant person. So that is for administrative space requirements. 5 square meters per person. And space requirement of 12 cubic meters per occupant person. The allocation of administrative space shall include the following components. Number 1, the school's administrator's office, or usually called the principal's office. A receiving area, working area for the office staff, supply store room, conference room, teacher's room, production room, which is for mimeographing graphics, etc., or the usual printing of modules area, and then the toilet and bath. The different spaces or components of the administrative area shall be laid out in proper operational relationship with each other. Arrangement and placement of office furniture and equipment such as tables, chairs, cabinets, shelves, typewriters, which I think are obsolete, computers, photocopying machines, bulletin boards, etc., shall be carefully and systematically planned to achieve maximum efficiency. The following information in the Educational Management Information System records and materials shall constitute part of structuring the office. So what should be included? Hazard map of the Philippines, map of the locality where the school is situated, the school site development plan, consolidated calendar of activities, master program, all classes, all teachers, organizational chart, graphs regarding performance indicators or the educational key program indicators or the KPI or the key performance indicators, files of circulars, memoranda, bulletins, etc., pictorials of activities, and a locator board. I think all these things could be seen inside a principal's office or SBM rooms of our schools. Let us proceed now to the facilities for ancillary services. So again, when we say ancillary, it includes the school health clinic. A school health clinic is one of the essential facilities of every school. It shall be located adjacent to the administrative area if possible, depending upon the size of the school and the availability of internal space. The school health clinic shall include spaces for first aid treatment, dental services, waiting room, dressing room, and restroom for students who may not be feeling well. A duly trained first aid teacher shall be assigned to take charge of the school clinic in addition to her regular class work. Usually, the school health clinic is the place where the visiting school physician, school dentist, and school nurse conduct their annual health examination and treatment of the school children or students. Lucky for those schools who have their own school nurse. The school health clinic shall be furnished with the following basic facilities: a bed or cot, preferably the reclining type, a weighing scale, apparatus for measuring height. Usually, these are 2-in-1. We have the Detecto weighing scale. It has also an apparatus for measuring height. Thermometer, medical supplies, cabinet, eye testing apparatus. Take note, it should be included in a school health clinic, the eye testing apparatus. This might be asked during the exam. Mirror, sink or lavatory, first aid equipment and supplies, standard office equipment, table, chairs, stools, trash can, etc., nebulizer, and sphygmomanometer or the stethoscope. And this sphygmomanometer is used for, of course, testing the blood pressure. I think this is very important. Next is guidance and counseling. The organization of pupil, student guidance and counseling services is an administrative function that cannot be dispensed with, especially in the modern community school. For the purpose of the school guidance and counseling program, a guidance room shall be set aside and located, if possible, adjacent to the administrative area. So take note, the guidance, the school clinic, and the administrative office shall be adjacent to each other. The guidance center shall include separate enclosed spaces for conducting individual counseling, testing, and storage of school children's records and others. So there is a specific notation here that there should be a separate enclosed space for conducting individual counseling. Because sometimes the guidance counselor will talk to the student and they should talk in private. Among the basic facilities that shall be provided in the school guidance center are the following: instruments and devices for testing, diagnosing, measuring aptitudes, intelligence, and others. Various literature, reference materials, instructions, etc. about guidance and counseling, and standard office equipment such as tables, chairs, cabinets, etc. Let us proceed now to another important part of the school facilities, which is the school canteen. One of the important facilities shall be available in school is a very decent school lunch counter, also known as the school lunchroom, school canteen, or nutrition center. This serves as the center for feeding. For details on the management and maintenance of school canteen, you may refer to DepEd Order No. 8, Series of 2007. The basic component of a canteen may be as follows. Number 1 is a dining space. The dining space shall be a clean, quiet, and attractive space with an inviting color scheme and decors, and with adequate lighting and proper ventilation. In my previous vlogs, I have already discussed about the color of walls, ceilings, and others. The size of the dining space is determined by the maximum number of pupils or students to be served at one sitting on the basis on the minimum standard of 1.4 square meters per person. It shall be furnished with the necessary tables and chairs. Hand washing facility shall be provided at the entrance of the dining space. There should also be a service counter. Of course, we all know that during this pandemic, school canteen operations are futile. It's not in use. The service counter shall be properly located to facilitate the systematic serving of food. It shall not over be 30 inches high. So, if you're asked about the height of the service counter, it should not be over 30 inches high. The counter shall have a ventilation to assure rapid dissipation of odors. Health regulations require that a glass plate shall be installed in front of each serving counter to protect the food from breaths of those lining up for food serving. The glass plate may be placed several inches above the top of the counter so that there will be space under the glass for passing plates of food. The design of the service counter shall provide space for storage of dishes under the counter. So, when regular classes resume and there will be face-to-face encounter with students, safety measures should really be followed. The kitchen. The kitchen space shall include the following areas: the food preparation area, the cooking area, the cleaning area, and storage area. Let us proceed now to management and administrative controls. Of course, for the educational facilities management, it will be the school head or the principal. Administrative control over elementary and secondary school plans exercised by the school principals or school heads are as follows. So, let us discuss one by one. Number 1 defines the educational objectives and physical resources. 2 plans and supervises over the construction of school buildings. Next, works out the acquisition, survey, and registration titling of school sites. Inspects the public elementary and secondary schools under his charge, evaluates, assesses their condition, and makes appropriate reports and recommendations to the school's division superintendent. Plans and carries out a rationalized acquisition program to meet standard requirements. Oversees the maintenance, beautification, and sanitation of the educational facilities of the school plan. Recommends opening of new schools and annexes, renaming of schools, as well as closure of schools in accordance with the respective guidelines set for the purpose. Creates an environment within the school that is conducive to teaching and learning. Develops the school education program and school improvement plan, and administers physical and fiscal resources of the school. Now, there is also what we call proper utilization of educational facilities in schools. Educational facilities in the school shall be utilized properly. The use of the ground and facilities of the school, other than for school activities, must be subject to the approval of the school's division or city school superintendent. Among other public activities and utilization of the school grounds and facilities, which may be permitted by the school's division superintendent through the principal or head teacher, are as follows. Number 1, civil service examinations. Holding of civil service examination is allowed in the classroom, including the use of its furnishings and lighting facilities. So, civil service examinations can be examination for sub-professional and professional civil service exam. Literacy classes. Instruction of illiterates and other literacy activities may be held in school. Of course, that is the purpose of the school, to support learning within the community and to help the students learn. Polling places. The use of school buildings for the meetings of election inspectors and as polling places for the election of the national, provincial, city, municipal, and barangay officials may be authorized. How about religious services or instruction? Holding of religious activities for the benefit of pupils, students, and barangay council and other sectoral groups and conduct of religious instructions may be allowed, provided such does not interfere with regular school activities. So it is stipulated here that religious services and instructions can be allowed within the school. Community program. Sectoral groups and barangay council may be allowed to use the school buildings, grounds, and facilities for civic and educational activities. Evacuation Center. The use of the school buildings, classrooms as evacuation centers is allowable in case of natural calamities. The utilization of school property and facilities shall always be under the strict authority and responsibility of the school administrator, the principal, or the school head. In case there is a need to evacuate school personnel and students, the following are the specific policies. DepEd officials and personnel shall be responsible for the evacuation of students, pupils, in case the school is threatened or in the hazard-stricken area into safer places, and they continue to be responsible for the safety of the students, pupils under their custody has been taken over by the parents. DepEd officials may allow the use of the school as an evacuation center when there is no other safer place where the people from the community can take refuge, and as a temporary holding center since there is no intent to permanently utilize the same as residence for the calamity victims. So that means it is only for temporarily stay or for a temporary stay. In case the school is used as an evacuation center, DepEd officials and personnel shall be responsible for the preservation of the school facilities and properties for the duration the school is being occupied by evacuees, so that after the emergency period, the school can resume operation as soon as possible. And of course, if there are allowed activities inside the school, there are illegal utilization of school facilities. Any illegal act or activity resulting from or related to the utilization of the school property or facilities shall be the accountability of the school head. Article 20 of the Revised Penal Code prohibits and penalizes the illegal use of public funds and property. Number 1, it is for personal use of educational facilities. The use of school property for the personal convenience of an employee as his residence and not in connection with his official duties is illegal. Likewise, the use of school property for the furtherance of private interest is considered illegal. And next, squatters. No squatter shall be allowed on the school site. In cases where there are squatters within the school site, their ejection shall be done in a proper and legal manner. And for the financing of educational facilities, the annual appropriations in the national budget for the Department of Education include fund allocations for capital outlays, for maintenance and other operating expenses, and for sundries. Capital outlays are provided for the acquisition of school sites, construction and repair of school buildings, procurement of furniture, as well as the acquisition of equipment for public elementary and secondary schools. The amounts allocated for maintenance and other operating expenses, or the MOOE, include provisions for such expenditures such as travel expenses, purchase of supplies and materials, and for equipment. The allotments for sundries include such miscellaneous expenses as repair of equipment, freight, shipping charges, rental of buildings for school use. Maintenance and repair include the following: the cost of keeping buildings, plant and equipment, and other fixed property in a fair state of preservation. Shop charges and expendable parts, cleaning and overhauling equipment, painting and varnishing of buildings, all similar expenses which do not enhance the original value of the plant or equipment. Let us now proceed to what we call the SEF, or the Special Education Fund. The Special Education Fund, or what we call SEF, was created under Republic Act number 5447. which was enacted by the Philippine Congress in 1969 for the purpose of providing additional financial support exclusively for public schools. It is constituted from the proceeds of an additional tax of 1% on the assessed value of real property in addition to the real property tax levied thereon under existing laws. Section 235 of Republic Act 7160, an additional source of revenue for the Special Education Fund is derived from a portion equivalent to 10% of the taxes on Virginia-type cigarettes and the duties on imported tobacco, which is remitted to the Treasurer of the Philippines. So we all know that these are the main sources of the Special Education Fund. How about the sharing of funds? The proceeds accruing to the Special Education Fund shall be automatically released to the local school boards. In case of provinces, the proceeds shall be divided equally between the provincial and municipal school boards, which is stipulated under Republic Act 7160, Section 272. Fund administration. The Special Education Fund for each province, city, and municipality shall be administered by the local school boards. The composition of local school boards shall be as follows. The provincial school board shall be composed of the governor, of course, as the chairman and the division superintendent of schools as co-chairman. The chairman of the Education Committee of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, the provincial treasurer, the representative of the Federasyon ng mga Sangguniang Kabataan in the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, the duly elected president of the Provincial Federation of Parent Teachers Association, the duly elected representative of the teachers' organizations in the province, and the duly elected representative of the non-academic personnel of public schools in the province as members. So I hope you remember the members of the provincial school board. Next, the city school board. The city school board shall be composed of the city mayor as chairman and the city superintendent of schools as co-chairman. The chairman of the Education Committee of the Sangguniang Bayan, the municipal treasurer, the representative of the Federasyon ng mga Sangguniang Bayan, the duly elected president of the Municipal Federation of Parent Teacher Associations, the duly elected representative of the teachers' organizations in the municipality, and the duly elected representative of the non-academic personnel of public schools in the municipality as members. And this is under Republic Act 7160, Section 98, B1 to B3. So we can see the hierarchy. So after the Special Education Fund, we also have voluntary contributions. To collect voluntary contributions for the construction, repair, or improvement of school buildings, permission shall be requested from the Department of Social Welfare and Development or its local office. This shall be made by the Parent Teachers Association or other entities, but never by school authorities or teachers. So we can remember that if we will be requesting for project, specifically school buildings or major repair or improvement, we usually have this resolution, and these are signed by parents. The request shall state the purpose of the collection, the amount desired to be collected, and the period during which the collection is made. The school's division superintendent shall make a recommendation as to the desirability of the collection. Soon after the close of the fund drive, a report of the collection is made to the Department of Social Welfare and Development or its local office. The auditor shall audit the receipts and expenditures. Next, for Foreign Assisted School Building Program. Foreign governments, example is the Japanese government through the Japan International Cooperation Agency or the JICA, has been donating school buildings and other school facilities to DepEd through grants or aids. SPEAR project covered under grant agreement between the Government of Australia through the Australian Agency for International Development or AUSAID, and the Government of the Philippines has also constructed new designs of school buildings. The SPEAR project aims to continue assisting the DepEd in meeting the country's education objectives of enhancing access of more boys and girls to better quality education and enabling them to successfully complete basic education through the repair and rehabilitation of school buildings damaged by typhoons. So if you can see in the examination, SPEAR project. So this is a partnership between DepEd and Australian government. Adapt School Program. The Adapt School Program is an innovative program for education which was established to Republic Act 85/25, which aims to create multiple partnership with the business sector, foundations, non-government organizations, private schools, civic organizations, and individuals to team up with DepEd towards providing the much needed assistance and service to public schools. This program is a pro-poor movement that will help ensure access to quality education for the Filipino youth. This program gives opportunity to a private entity to extend assistance to a public school in particular aspects of its educational programs within an agreed period. The Adapt a School program addressed the needs of schools with severe classroom shortage, schools in low-income municipalities, schools with insufficient number of textbooks and instructional materials, overcrowded schools, schools with undernourished children, schools with poor but high-performing students, and schools with insufficient budget or funds. So if you will be asked who will be the recipient of the Adapt a School program, these things which I have identified will come and be identified as recipients of the said program, Adapt a School program. Next is Brigada Eskwela or the National Schools Maintenance Week. The Brigada Eskwela is a purely voluntary effort whereby principals and teachers in charge or school heads are encouraged but not required to organize a local maintenance week. Parents and local volunteers at the local school level come together for 1 week or 5 days in May before the start of the school year in order to do minor repair and maintenance of school facilities to get the schools ready for the start of the school year. The PTCA, LGUs, local school boards, and the local private sector contribute resources in the form of cash, kind, or time for the maintenance and minor repair of their schools. And I'm glad that the Brigada Eskwela for 2021 has also included Brigada Pagbasa, which is in line with improving the reading capability of our learners. And next is, of course, we will proceed to the disposal of educational facilities. Despite the proliferation of various laws, rules, and regulations governing disposal of property, a considerable quantity of unserviceable, no longer needed, obsolete, forfeited, seized supplies, materials and equipment, and valueless records which have grown into unmanageable and uneconomical proportions now exist in various government agencies. To save on cost maintaining such property, there is a need for their disposal. Pursuant to Executive Order Number 888, Section 1 and COA Circular Number 89296, the full and sole authority and responsibility for the divestment or disposal of properties and other assets owned by the national, corporate, and local government units or LGU, including its subsidiaries, shall be lodged in the heads of the departments, bureaus, and offices or governing bodies or managing heads of the concerned entities. So, the head of the department, specifically the school head, the principal, will be the one to determine if these educational facilities are for disposal. So, what are the modes of disposal or divestment? Condemnation / destruction of property. Unserviceable equipment may be destroyed through pounding, breaking, shredding, throwing, or any other method by which the property is disposed beyond economic recovery. Destruction shall be made in the presence of the disposal committee. That means there is also transparency. Next is transfer of property. Transfer of property may be done upon the initiative of the owning agency or submission of requests to the owning agency. This may be done either with or without cost. Cost herein refers to payment based on the appraised value of the property. Barter. An agency transfers property to another government agency in exchange for another piece of property. The value of the property transferred may not be equivalent to that being received. So take note, in government agencies, there is also what we call barter. Donation of property. Donation of property may be done to charitable, scientific, educational, or cultural institutions. Sale of unserviceable property. Sale through public bidding, as a general rule, is the mode of disposal. This is done through sealed public bidding or when circumstances warrant by viva voce. Sale through negotiated sale is resorted to as a consequence of failed bidding. What are the property or assets which are subject to disposal? The following are subject to disposal: unserviceable property, confiscated or seized property, property under distraint, levy, garnishment, unclaimed motor vehicles, real property, valueless records or documents. I think numbers 2, 3, 4, and 4 is not likely to happen within DepEd. Determining factors in the disposal of unserviceable property. Property which can no longer be repaired or reconditioned. So take note, if it cannot be repaired or reconditioned, it can be subject for disposal. Property whose maintenance cost of repair more than outweighs the benefits and services that will be derived from its continued use. This is also synonymous with what I have discussed on the demolition of school building. Next, property that has become obsolete or outmoded because of changes in technology. Of course, we don't need Betamax tapes or cassette tapes nowadays. And I think even compact discs are considered to be outmoded or obsolete nowadays. So serviceable property that has been rendered unnecessary due to change in the agency's function or mandate. Unused supplies, materials, and spare parts that were procured in excess of requirement, and unused supplies and materials that have become dangerous to use because of long storage or use of which is determined to be hazardous. Example of those in the school setting are chemicals used for chemistry experiments. And these things or these chemicals should be disposed of, especially when it has a very long storage. or they are considered to be expired. So what should be done on the submission of documents pertinent to the disposal of unserviceable property? The accountable officials in possession of unserviceable property shall submit to the disposal committee through their respective heads of offices the following accomplished forms. Number 1. Inventory and inspection report of unserviceable property for semi-expandable materials and equipment, which are individual survey report duly certified by the supply officer and head of agency. So there is a survey report certified by the supply officer and the principal. List of missing spare parts duly certified by the supply officer and head of agency. Stencils of chassis and engine numbers of motor vehicles. And current photographs in 2 positions of items recommended for disposal. And of course, waste materials report for expendable materials, supplies, and consumables, including spare parts, empty containers, and remnants from destroyed or damaged fixed assets. So here are the guidelines on the disposal or the general procedures. Once the supplies or property become unserviceable from any cause or are no longer needed, the accountable officer immediately therefore shall return to the same to the property officer or equivalent position concerned. Next, the property officer equivalent position shall file an application for disposal with appropriate documents to the COA auditor. The COA auditor shall inspect the items and determine whether the items are with or without value and forwards his or her recommendations to the head of agency. Then, the head of the agency shall forward the documents to the disposal committee, and then the disposal committee shall recommend to the head of agency the mode of disposal as appropriate and deemed most advantageous to the government. If found to be valuable, the unserviceable property may be sold at public auction to the highest bidder under the supervision of the proper committee on award or similar body. The awardee, of course, those who win the bidding, shall pay, claim, and withdraw the property upon the determination of the awardee. The bid bond shall be considered as partial payment, and the difference between such payment and the offered bid price shall be paid in the form of cash, cashier's manager's check of a reputable bank within the area where the bidding was held. Full payment shall be made within 5 working days from the date of the notice of award. In addition to the purchase price, any taxes, custom duties, or charges in connection with the sale shall be borne by the awardee. Claim shall be made only by the awardee after the bid price is fully paid as evidenced by an official receipt. The disposal committee shall effect it in the presence of the reporting accountable officer or his duly authorized representative and witnesses of the reporting accountable officer or his duly authorized representative and witnesses. The property officer of the owning agency shall accomplish a tally-out sheet as evidence of actual delivery. Authorized agency official and the buyer acknowledging receipt of the items shall sign the tally-out sheet, and claim shall be made only during official government working hours. Of course, the purpose is for transparency and that it will not happen on a weekend, and thus it will be a secret. Claim shall be made within the period fixed by the disposal committee but not more than 30 days after awarding. Failure on the part of the awardee to claim the property within the stipulated period shall have the effect of cancellation of the award or contract. The awardee shall then be charged storage fees and other incidental fees or cost or damages, cost incurred in the conduct of another public bidding or negotiation. If the property remains unclaimed over a prolonged period of time, ownership of the contracted awarded property shall automatically revert to the government. The government shall then have the right to dispose of the property through whatever manner the disposal committee deems most advantageous to the government. So take note of the word, it should be always to the most advantageous to the government. Upon disposal of property, the pertinent portions of the inventory and inspection report, report of waste materials, or invoice receipt for property, whichever is applicable, shall be accomplished. These reports shall be the basis for dropping the property from the books of accounts and for taking up the proceeds from the sale of the property. So this is the reference, the Educational Facilities Manual, and this is a revised edition of the 2007 Handbook on Educational Facilities, integrating disaster risk reduction in school construction. So this is the Bible in terms of educational facilities, starting from the paint, the color of the paint, the fence, the repair of school building, until the disposal of wastes inside schools. So let's proceed now to the post-test. I think this will be easy for you. So the use of a building or buildings for the gathering of groups of persons for purpose of instruction is educational occupancy. So the transfer of property from one person to another is conveyance. A state of extreme distress or misfortune produced by some adverse circumstances or event, or any great misfortune or cause or loss or misery by natural forces. The answer is calamity. That portion of the foundation of a structure which spreads and transmits loads directly to the soil or the pile. Base, footing, foundation. The answer is footing. Knowledge, skills, resources, abilities, strengths present in individuals, households, and the community, which enable them to prevent, prepare for, withstand, survive, and recover from a disaster, is capacity. Refers to fixed or movable, non-consumable property with a normal lifespan of 2 to 5 years, and in terms of procurement regulations exceeds a specified cost level, is equipment. This refers to the end of life cycle of a government property, disposal, condemnation, or elimination. The answer is disposal. One of a group of buildings having a secondary or dependent use, such as an annex, extension, auxiliary, or ancillary. The answer is ancillary. A unit of illumination equivalent to 1 lumen per square meter, also termed as meter candle, is flux. Refers to the policies, criteria to apply when considering the construction of new buildings, remodeling, replacement, maintaining existing ones, is what we call design. Thank you for watching Aris Barago Vlogs. Watch, like, comment, share, and subscribe.